Today we're going to make a money pin, which is shredded money. For the blank, the pin itself is a Wall Street 2, and we're going to measure the blank. Again, it's made up of hopefully dollar bills. I don't know why you would use anything more than dollar bills, but measured the blank and then took it over to cut it on the bandsaw. I used a backing board on this one. The previous pin, I kind of free-handed it and didn't turn out real straight. This one turned out straighter and good clean cuts. Went over to the bench and picked one out, the correct one, and then we put a mark on it for the drill press. And this one took several swipes of the pencil to get it down, but put the mark on it. Went over to the drill press. I haven't got anything made yet to keep the alignment, so I used a square to make sure it's squared up. Took it to the lathe and it started drilling. And I was kind of unsure about the blank, so I kind of took my time and cleared it out several times. Made sure it went down very smoothly. And got done with that. Then went over to epoxy the tube and used grit. I think it was 320. Scuffed up the tube, and I weigh my epoxy. So I use a small gram scale, zero it out with the cup on it, then mix the epoxy in. I think both of these were 8 grams, maybe 9 grams each. It's probably too much, but I'm a little more comfortable with a little more in there to make sure it's even. It's a lot easier to get it even the more that it's in there. I use a scale to make sure that it's exact and not just a best guess. I use popsicle sticks. I stir it up real well, scrape the sides, make sure the sides are all clean, and then go ahead and get the tube glued up. Use my official snap-on installing tool. Make sure we got plenty of epoxy on there. Any kind of crevices or voids, make sure we get the epoxy and put the tube in. Make sure it drips. Keep it at an angle to where it doesn't drip into the tube. I use denatured alcohol with a paper towel to wipe the ends of it off, and I'll dab the end instead of wipe it. I think it keeps out any kind of epoxy inside the tube. And if you look, this one was cleared. And I leave the popsicle stick in the plastic cup. And this is a time lapse. You can see it getting yellow and hardening. And then you can know when it's absolutely hard enough or complete enough. You just take it and smack it or try to get the stick out of there. You can see it's set. So onto the sander, making sure we turn the blank very often to keep it as square as possible. Check and make sure we get the shiny. Do the same thing on the other end. Again, making sure that we see shiny brass all the way around the tube. And it is. We're good. Let's go to the lathe and we'll get it on the mandrel. This is about 8 times, I think, so we kind of speed it up. Put the tailstock on, lock it down. Make sure it's snug but not over tight. Don't want to bend the mandrel. And start out with a roughing gouge. to knock it down. Again, we're just going and smoothing out. You can see it stopping. Now, I've got this lathe set at about 1100, I think, which is too slow. And you'll see when I speed it up, it'll become a lot smoother. It's not as smooth as it could be right now. You'll see another mistake I make here in just a minute. I'd like to have the middle a little larger than the ends. So I'm kind of, see it grab. It's not, needs to speed up. Now here I'm going outside the blank. See it? I'm going outside the blank. Don't go outside the blank. I'm lucky that I didn't get a chip out on that thing. Better off if you kind of start in the middle and work your way out. You're kind of going downhill anyway. So I want the middle a little larger than the ends, not extreme, but a little larger, so it's a whole lot easier to go work yourself downhill. Again, I'm lucky I didn't get a chip out on that thing, but it turned out pretty good. I'll switch to a bowl gouge here in a minute to try to smooth it up a little bit. But the roughing gouge is not doing bad. I kind of like the roughing gouge on it. I think this is about the third pin I turned, maybe the fourth. But it's a lot easier getting the end of it like that than trying to go from the outside in. Now I'm getting the bowl gouge and I'm trying to smooth the thing out. Somewhere along here, I think I realize I need to have some more speed, and I turn it up to about 1900, I think, almost 2000. Yeah, there you go. I just turned it up. I like the Laguna 1216. The variable speed is really, really good. Got some lines on it. Here's where I sped it up. Now watch, it'll go a lot smoother, a lot easier to take off. Should have done that in the beginning. I need to make sure, check my speed, and make sure I have it up. I think I had it on a setting on sanding or polishing on and just didn't bring it back up. It's a lot easier. Not bad. So we'll start sanding now. Start out with 180 grit and got all the lines out of it, all the marks out of it. Checking, making sure that I get all of them. I think I'm still on 180. Yeah, I'm still on 180 there. Then I'll switch it to 320. I probably should have gone between that, maybe a 220 and then do this 320. It took a little longer to get the rest of the lines and everything, get it really, really smooth. Then I started with the micro mesh at the 1500 and then worked up to 12,000. Wet sanded it. I kept a little spray bottle to the side so I would spritz it before I put it on. Between, I would take a paper towel, moistened a little bit, make sure the grit and everything was off was really why I moistened it a little bit, so grit would adhere to it, and I wouldn't do it with a dry cloth, which might put some more scratches back into it. So here I'm just kind of going through, and I'm doing not only round but horizontal afterwards to make sure the grooves, any grooves that are out of it. I think we're on the last one here. I think the purple's the 12,000. Yeah, I think we polish it. So I start polishing it, and I gave it about 3 coats of polish. Every time I'd make sure that the paper towel was a clean spot, and same way with buffing it, make sure that it was at a clean spot, that there wasn't any residue or anything left on it. So I'm going through polishing, getting it done. I think that's the last coat. And we took it off the mandrel and went over to assembly. The assembly was fairly cut and dried. I was using a squeeze clamp. I still hadn't gotten anything other than that to put it together, so it went together all right, but there's better ways to do it. And then the end result turned out pretty good, but a little problem with the blank itself. You can see there's a little gold fleck at the bottom and the top of it. That's where it's the blank. The blank is showing. And what I should have done with this is coated it with a green Testors type paint, coated the blank after I drilled the hole, matched the green, and then it would not have showed very much at all. But you can kind of see little flecks here and there. The easiest way to do it is paint the blank. So I'm going to do that in the future and try to minimize or cut out, because if you know what you're looking for, it's fairly obvious that it comes out. Pen overall, though, was good. I was pleased with the turning. I think the turning was a little better on this pen than previous, but all in all, it was pretty good. So, thanks very much for watching. Please subscribe and watch for the next video coming out. Keep in touch.